It's going to give you a countdown.
Okay.
Y'all smile.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome to Blooming from Broken. My name is Makara, and I have Miss Kim, Miss Jasmine, and Miss Martha with me today. And today's topic is Black community and issues. Also, success focusing on cultural pride and the systematic challenges within our community.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, girl.
Okay. So the first question I wanted to ask was, what does being Black really mean to you, and how do you find that you celebrate your culture? Personally, I think to be Black is to be great and to have a lot of honor come upon you, but it's also to be preyed upon and to be feared by many people. I think it's an honor because of how influential Black people are, especially in today's society. And specifically in America, I think Black people have produced a lot of culture and they bring a lot to, they bring a lot to the plate. And I think that we changed what America really
You
is.
froze.
So I also think that being Black in America is seen more as a threat to a lot of people than what it should be. But I think within our community, we changed that and we turned it into something better, something that we can celebrate and be proud of. Which is why we have things like Juneteenth, for example, which celebrates the day that slaves were freed in Galveston. And I think that right there is only one example of how we celebrate. Black people also celebrate their culture every single day by, how you dress, how you talk, the way you do your hair. I think things like that should be celebrated a lot more, especially because today is just seen as, you can share your culture with anybody, and that's really not the case. It takes away the actual meaning behind a lot of things.
Huh. You know what I get when I'm get upset about or whatever, that we really we really haven't. Give me one. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, everyone. Technical difficulties.
Um, but I do agree with you, Makai. Like that's like spot on, like literally spot on with it. I identify with what you're saying. When you say what it means to be Black and how the culture really does, like in the good and bad influence, not just our country, but like other countries, because you can see where like little sprinkles of like what we do are in like China and Italy and all these other places. So we're very influential, and I believe that's part of the reason why people see us as a threat, because we could, if we band together, we could do way more than what we are doing now. So
you
I
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I really believe like that's why a lot of things are kind of like targeted towards us, to kind of keep that like sense of division there, so we don't expand as much as we really could.
You know what? I agree with she said too, but do all of us know that we are that, as Black people, are that powerful? We are so busy envying one another, fighting against one another, killing each other. We can't have anything because of the fact that we're so against one another. So do we really know who we are as Black people? Because it just, you we get so many businesses and we get so many things, and we as Black folks go out there and tear it up.
Right. That came from slavery, though.
Yeah, I
Um,
think
it
when
came
it
from Can
oh,
y'all hear
sorry.
me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
It came from slavery. That's the mentality they wanted the slaves to have. They didn't. They always wanted to create that tension so that they would never band together. They always wanted them to say, "Oh, you better than these people because you here and you doing this and your master is giving you that." So I feel like that mentality just never went away. I feel like it's really a cycle. I can see like in history where we have band together and they felt like we were coming together and getting it together and they terrorized us when we
Mm.
had our own cities and our own towns and they came and burnt it down. So they love us but they hate us. And everything come from black people. All colors come from black. Every last single one of them. So they got to give us our props because without us, who would I be?
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of people they don't want to be black, but they like to have the things that come from being black, such as, the way we dress, how we talk, the culture of it. I think that those are the parts that they enjoy. Like a big part is like the music. Like they love the music black people produce and give out, but they don't truly understand what it means to be black. They don't want to face the repercussions of what that really is. And then when you bring it up, it makes them uncomfortable. So you have to stop talking about it when in reality, if you feel uncomfortable by it, that's an issue. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable by me telling you that, slavery was a thing. Racism still does exist. It's very prominent. And if you feel uncomfortable by that, I think it just shows that you have a little bit of racism inside of you also. It's nothing to feel uncomfortable by. It's something that you should be
Right.
able to acknowledge and try to figure out not just how you can do better, but how can you and your peers around you, how can y'all do better as one instead of making, all the black people feel uncomfortable and then you don't care when it's them.
Mhm.
I saw a video on TikTok last night. It was a Caucasian lady, and she was working from home, and she heard a lot of noise in her yard, so she opened the door, and it was some Caucasian young males beating, trying to break in her truck. And she called them the N word. Y'all ends, get out of here. I'm like, let me make this screen big, cause what?
Yeah,
I
no, I
can't
think
believe
like it's
y'all.
crazy that they do that because
What?
it's like you're calling your own people that to just show that that word itself, you think it has such a negative connotation that it doesn't just go for black people, I assume. And then they sit there and they try to change the narrative on it when black people say it because they're heavy on it. How come you can say it and I can't? It's a difference.
Yes.
It's a difference because black people took that word and they turned it into something positive for ourselves. We don't say it in a negative way. We say it as a way, to greet each other or when you're talking. It's a form of slang for us. But for them, they say it to be derogatory on purpose. It's never
To
necessarily
identify a particular
exactly.
kind of
Even if
person.
even when they say it in like songs, if they want to rap and they say it, you can't just throw it out there because now you're getting too comfortable with it. If you're too comfortable, that means next thing I know, you're
Mhm.
calling me one.
Right.
Right.
It's not gonna go that way. I don't.
Right.
I agree. Let's see.
What was the second part of your question?
My second part was how do you think that we celebrate our culture?
Do we really celebrate it?
I don't think we celebrate it enough to be honest. I think it's like a specific majority of black people that celebrate it because they're proud to be black. But I think there is a big part of our population to where we don't really want to be black. I find a lot of black people they don't see themselves as black. They always have to say that they're mixed with something else, or they got to try to fit in with something else. And it's like, what's so wrong with being black? Why do y'all think that's such a negative thing to where you feel as if you can't accept that part of yourself, or you always got to throw something else in to make yourself seem more exotic than what you really are?
Mhm.
I remember growing up, I didn't know. I only knew black and white. So when people were telling me because of my skin complexion, oh, you got to be mixed with something else. You can't be all the way black. What you mean? It's either black or white. What you mean? So I'm like, my mama never told me, anything about intermingling of other races and stuff like that. I just knew myself to be black. I knew I couldn't be with the Caucasian people because we wasn't always tolerated. So it wasn't until I got older, like in the workforce, when people were saying, "Oh, I think you French. Oh, I think you got a little Mexican in you," and I'm like, "What are y'all talking about? Leave me alone. I'm black." So
Right.
even in jobs, I remember as a teenager when they started collecting like stuff for census and for jobs, hiring certain color of people, they would get like tax write-offs and stuff. And my boss put on the paper that I was French Indian, and I said, "This ain't right. I'm black. I'm all the way black. Like I'm 50 years old, and I'm just identifying with what's really in my blood." So I'm like,
Mm,
to me, it really don't matter. I feel like growing up, your where you grew up is your culture, and you celebrate that. Even in yesterday with Juneteenth, all I saw was people celebrating the food. I didn't see people celebrating what our people had to really go through to get to freedom. Um, I saw people celebrating the music, but I didn't, hear anybody saying what those musicians had to go to through to actually get to mainstream.
mhm.
How they got their music stolen from them, how they were never seen on TV. Remember, Martha, we growing up, black people would sing songs, but when the video came out, it was some white people
You
lip
right.
syncing to
You
the black
right.
people songs. Like we never really saw
Hmm.
black people on TV growing up unless they was coon face or slaves or something derogatory. So in us growing up now, I wish we would celebrate all the stuff that we've been through and seen and just heard and been through so that the younger generation can value it. Because if you don't know where you came from to get it, you're not gonna value it. And that's why the younger folks are like, "Oh, I don't care nothing about that. They ain't got nothing to do with me," because they don't care. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You know what? I was looking at that Michael Jackson movie, and he fought to get to MTV.
I didn't know all of the battles that he had. I didn't know why a lot of things he did. Like they bringing out some of the lyrics, but he was actually talking about the record companies. I never knew him, Prince, and it's another one
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
that I can't remember from back in the day that they had to fight these record labels just to own their own music. Like
Right.
I never knew those things. We was just listening to music. We were so dumb. Well, I ain't gonna say dumb. We was just
Well,
we didn't know.
I can say this too, sis. You know what this is what you said. When we was in school, we didn't learn half of the stuff that the kids are learning now.
Right.
Like we thought that we celebrate Fourth of July. We didn't celebrate what we celebrate now.
Girl, we go so hard for Cinco de Mayo. I swell they neighborhoods up. Do you hear me? Swell them up. Support every Latino thing it is. Don't even know we out there singing La Cucaracha and all of that and doing the most. But then when it comes to us, it's like I saw a white man under a post saying, "Oh, so when they gonna start shooting?" And I was like, "Wow." He was really under somebody's live saying when they gonna start shooting.
Because that's what we known for.
That's
We
sad.
cannot have nothing unless somebody is fighting. We can't have nothing unless we out there. I hate to see young black women's out there twerking.
I don't know, Mom. I think that part right there, I don't even think that's a problem because when you go into the culture truly, twerking is not nothing sexual. People turn that into something today. It really goes back into your African roots because that's how they dance. And
And
it
it
just got
release.
modernized over time to where even now I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's a form of expressing yourself. A lot of women they say that they feel it just makes them feel better after the fact. It's a way to, release themselves. It only became sexualized because of white people and because of men. They decided to sexualize those things and turn it into something negative which makes it seem like now young girls who do it, they're just, being fast, doing something they have no business doing, when really it's a dance. It's really only sexualized when they see black girls do it, because when you see, other races do it, other, young white women do it, it's nothing said about them. It's just them dancing.
I think we take it to a stream though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's like a line, like, because I
Yeah.
do believe that when you twerk, there's like trauma that's released from the hips. So that's why you do feel better after doing it. But it's like that line of like when your lady parts are literally like right here on the camera,
Yes.
and all you see on this side is like that, about that much. And it's like, okay, well, now you got like, I'm basically kissing it at this point. So
Yeah,
like,
because you're right, because back in the day, we did the twerk, we used to do the belly roll, we did a whole lot of different dances. Come on, I mean, they was like on a handstand twerking, and you go to another
mhm.
country like South Africa and Nigeria, they twerk, but they do it to the extreme, to a certain extreme, but they not showing different this and that and the other.
Because y'all back
I'm trying to find the video. That's what I was looking for when I was in Jamaica at their funeral. At the funeral,
They twerk.
they do about 5 or 6 funerals all at one time at the graveyard. And
Mhm.
those girls, they out there twerking. That's part of their culture.
yeah,
There's
Nobody
nothing
looked
wrong
at
with
it
it.
like, oh my, and the men went behind them or nothing. They was just, it was a whole dance, but twerking was a part of it.
Yeah,
Mm.
I feel like it's the
y'all
intent
did though. Y'all
behind
used to
it.
have them like y'all used to have the freak leaks and stuff too, which was honestly a lot worse because y'all were like, at least nowadays, even if they dress sexual, they still got some form of clothing. Back in the day, y'all had no clothes on. Like I remember
None.
scrolling on TikTok, they had videos from back in those days, and I'm watching. I'm like, you talk about y'all had nothing on, literally no clothes out there in the street, which is like, there ain't nothing wrong with it because you're enjoying yourself. That's the part of it. I feel
Right.
like if you yourself, if you're having fun, it shouldn't really matter what another person thinks. But it's like I'm just saying, it might be bad today, but at least they got some form of clothing on. Whereas, they just out in the streets doing anything.
I think that did open it up though to something else. I'm just saying, because I agree. Like them videos,
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but Kim done went backwards. Okay, y'all. I'm back. I'm back.
Baby,
I do.
I'm going to just say
I agree
thank
with
God
you.
for deliverance.
I
Okay.
agree wholeheartedly.
Whew. I
I
started
didn't go
sweating
to
for that
previous,
minute.
but I mean, like I
Family
said,
days and the poets.
it was part of the culture. Like
Yeah.
when that twerking came out, I was living in New Orleans at the time. I was a teenager in New Orleans, so you twerking on the generator, that's part of the culture. We didn't think we wasn't doing it to be sexual. It was a dance.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and that was my whole point. Like specifically, you talking about like in New Orleans and whatnot. It's a big thing out there in Louisiana. To twerk and whatnot. Like that's just how you dance. It ain't nothing to it. Like when you want to go out there and swiggle, it's to make yourself feel good and to have a good time about it. Which is why I think it's only sexualized because of other people. It really shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I can see why, but it shouldn't be.
right.
It just depends, like literally.
Yes.
Mm-mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Ooh, baby, you done took me there.
I remember. I'm sorry, Jazz. You kind of froze, so I couldn't. We couldn't hear what you.
I
I couldn't
mean,
hear what you said.
everything went like out for me. But I was saying like, I mean, it's that line. Like, what's your intent for doing it? And I really think that's what. And people can kind of tell your intent behind it. Like, are you trying
Mhm.
to do this to catch you something, or are you trying to just release your wiggle? So
Mhm.
I feel like that's when it.
Yeah.
So I can't
I
release my wiggle without calling extra attention. I mean,
Yeah,
let
you
me release
can.
my wiggle.
back in the day we could, but
Right.
now
Cooking.
You got young ladies out there wiggling, wobbling, and chopping and whatever, and you got their friends behind a pop, 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 pop,
But
pop.
that's a part of the culture, Momo. Like
That's
I'm, that's
yeah.
just really what it is. That's how you hype your friends up. Like if she's doing, well, I'm supposed to just sit there and stare and look at her. No, like that's a part of hyping your friends up. Like I can say the same thing if I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna take that context and I'm put into another dance. So for example, if somebody's out there jigging or doing their thing, you lift their shirt up, you do that. That's hyping someone up. So that goes in the same context as if your friend is twerking. That's what you do. You hype them up in that sense because it's like it's either me or it's another guy behind her. And that's never the case. She usually doesn't want that, so it's gonna be me instead. It just makes a lot of more sense.
Yeah. It's more of so of like a hype on and protection thing. Like we
Yeah.
used to do that when we were in the club. Like we're going to surround you so that we know that ain't no guy about to come pick you up and take you off.
Right.
Yeah, but them Africans,
Okay, so my next question was what's one issue within our community do you think affects teenagers the most?
say it again.
Unhealed households.
Say it again, Makara. I didn't hear it.
What's one issue within our community that affects teenagers the most?
Whew.
Broken households.
I think that's a big one.
Parents wanting to be friends and not parents.
Ooh, you better say it again with your chest
So
out.
you're real.
Hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, that's stemming from someone not being parented correctly and trying to do it
The
their own.
people that just grew up and were not raised.
And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't want to do that to my
So what
child."
I'm saying now is the kids that had kids, like the 14, 15-year olds who grew up with their kids, now these people grown together. And it's a different kind of don't say nothing to him, don't say nothing to her. You not they mama. So I mean it's like it used to be a time where it took a village, literally. If
Right.
if if Martha Mama seen me doing something I had no business, she had every right to say something and she was gonna tell my mama.
Hmm.
So, growing up, like you literally caught it from everybody. It wasn't no um
Right.
wait till I see somebody or something like that. And it wasn't no hard feelings when parents brought something to the attention of another. But now you can't correct anybody. You can't even help somebody because they even take your help as offense. So I think that has hurt a lot of households where
Oh yeah.
discipline and just disregard for other people, parents holding their children up in wrong, like it's
Okay.
ludicrous.
And another thing that took out the community. Back in the day, we couldn't call 911. A whooping was not abuse. We don't took that. They don't took that out, and now kids has got out of hand.
I don't know, Mama. Like one thing, okay, so I would say it's nothing wrong with getting the whooping. I get that part because you can't always not all kids can be gentle parented. Not you can't do that with every single child because some of them they really will run over their parents. Like you have to
Mhm.
discipline them in the correct manner. But I will say that some parents do
Amen,
go
please.
overboard with it. They don't just, whoop their kids. They find, any excuse to put their hands on them, which is like it goes in the other spectrum of parents being too strict, not allowing their kids to do anything, specifically black parents, because they can find an issue with any little thing that you do and, run with it
Mhm.
when it shouldn't be that big of a deal. That's when, your kids become sneakier and they
I,
start to not like you as much. And that also stems from, having a broken home, because if I'm living with only one parent and that parent just so happens to be either too lenient or too strict, neither one is going to have a positive impact on me.
mm. But okay. So let's go back. Let's go back. Okay. So back in the day before me and Kim time, the older people, and I think that's why our mothers y'all, your great grandmothers or whatever, didn't know the meaning of love because they parents, but they've been beaten with stitching cars and this and that and the other. They believe in putting their hands, to them that was an abuse, not to them. But yet, during that time there, like Kim said, they knew to be home before the lights came on. We knew to come home before the lights came on. And discipline could go for so much or whatever. But that's the reason why today that a lot of kids is getting out of hand because the fact that we're as parents, we're not able to tell them anything. We're not even able to put our if we whooping with a belt. They called 911. Oh, we did abuse.
I don't know. I think that depends on your parenting, really, because I feel like if you allow your child to do that as they grow up, not even just as teenagers, when they're children, when they're toddlers, if you allow them to do that, they're gonna assume once they hit that age, you really can't tell them anything. So that falls into your parenting, to be honest, not just
Girl, no, it don't.
but I think that if you raise your kids
No.
if you raise your kids to be respectful regardless, I think that those outside influences, they won't always get them. Like I can say me personally, mama, she didn't really whoop us. She would punish us, but we never really got whoopings. And I can say that even going outside and gaining my own opinions and, hanging out with a whole bunch of other people, I can say that that never changed my mind or how I talk to her or anything. I can say that, she raised me the correct way to where I'm strong minded enough to know that just because my friends, they can be cooler with their parents doesn't mean I can be as cool with mine.
I agree with that. It takes understanding the mind. Like I don't think a lot of us understand how the mind works, and it kind of leads to like missteps when raising children because kids have a lot more understanding starting at a very young age. So whipping them that's only like a fear tactic, and it comes from like slavery.
That's my thing. That's what I thought. Because personally, I think maybe this might be a stretch to some people, but I find that whooping people, whooping your kids, that comes from slavery, in my opinion.
It does.
I think that that's what it comes from, which is why, in my opinion, I think that whooping your kids isn't always the solution to everything. Because I can say, my brother, for example, he can get a whooping all the time, and he'll go back and do the exact same thing that he already did. It's just to get them to stop doing what they're doing in that moment and to make them be scared of the belt, make them be scared of, when you say a certain thing. It doesn't really make them stop doing what you want them to do. To make them actually stop doing, what you're saying, you have to explain to them why it's wrong. You have to explain to them why they can do these things. And sure, they might need a whooping, but it's just like, it all comes down to that kid themselves. Because some of them, whooping might work. Some of them, you genuinely just have to talk to them and explain why they can't do certain things. Because if you whoop me and I ask you why you did it and you can't tell me why, I'm going to go do it again. Because now you just did it for no reason.
And build a tolerance around it. Right. And I think that's a lot of reasons why a lot of kids are.
Is somebody catching a whooping now?
Did it cut out?
It did. Yes, ma'am.
But they basically built that tolerance, and now they're trying to figure it out on their own. And they have all these different influences through music, through their friends. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to just do that. It seems right. They doing what I have in mind. Like they're making money. They're out here getting all these things. Like this must be the right thing to do because in their mind, that's pointing towards success. But like, if you take the time to explain to your child, like, no, there's other ways to do this. There's other ways to get to that. I understand you want this, but it might not be the best way to do it. Instead of just whooping them, then they'll have a better way of thinking about things and processing like things in their surrounding.
Yeah, and I think
I would say it definitely comes from parenting, but most people nowadays work. So you're dependent upon other people to help you raise your children. So when you're not with your child, they do pick up other habits that
Mm.
you are trying to redirect or retrain them, but they go when kids go to daycare or they go to another grandparent's house who grew up
Mhm.
differently, who may not have the same parenting concepts as you do, then it takes a toll on your child. So you can't always control every influence that comes in with your kid, especially as a single parent or a parent. You might come from a two-parent household, but to make it, both y'all gotta work. So that
Right?
influence from other people and other things. You may be getting a kid that's raised on YouTube, and when they see all this stuff on YouTube, how can you unlearn them from those kind of influences when you only see them for a couple of hours before they go to bed and they back at it again tomorrow?
You're right. And you know what? I feel like a lot of parents these days, when me and Kim was coming up, our parents trust us but didn't trust us like that, like they like we knew better. These days, no, the kids can't go outside unless they've been snatched by somebody. They
Right.
can't, it's pedophiles, it's sex trafficking, and parents are scared to even let their
It's
kids go
drugs.
anywhere because of the way it is today. Back then or whatever, I don't know if you remember, Kim, they used to have this teenage club in Hammond called Monopoly, right? And
I'm fake
girls,
daughter. I don't know nothing about that. I only
back in
knew
the day,
about black
over
and
there
white
by
people
Z
remember.
Mary. Remember, it's to be like it's the store that's still there, and next to that store was a building before they tore it down, and that's where a lot of teenagers used to hang out. It's called a little club called Monopoly. We had Roller Kingdom. You was allowed. I mean, we used to come from Roller Kingdom like 12 or 1 o'clock. I mean, I did with my cousin about 12 o'clock at night, and my mom know that. Hey, if she told me to come in at 10 o'clock, that my cousin them knew to load me up and tell me at 10 o'clock that we was okay. You didn't hear a lot of fighting going on then. But now or what, you gotta pray for your kids to even go out the door.
Right.
You gotta and pray that they, Lord, they come back. Lord, I pray that you just come back. Lord, that they come back, cover them. Or whatever. Not back then or what, yeah, our parents prayed or whatever. But you didn't hear as much of sex trafficking. Kid, you have seen the most kids missing in the last couple of years. And if you look at it, it's a
I don't
lot of
think it's
us.
I think it's always been the same. I think that social media now has just put a spotlight on it. We miss so much just being closed up inside. I believe sex trafficking was going on then. We didn't know
Mhm.
because most of the time, like you say, I was sheltered. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think I went outside until I hit New Orleans, and I'm like, oh my God, what these people doing? Like, I had a friend got pregnant in junior high school, and I'm like, how she did that? Like, how you get pregnant? Like,
I don't
I didn't know none of these things. I was very, very sheltered. My
shelter.
mama, you couldn't call. Like the first time I gave my phone number out, my mama was right beside me on the phone. What y'all talking about?
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
much longer y'all gonna be on this phone? Tell her I don't want my phone ringing after 8 o'clock. Don't you got homework? I'm literally I can't even have no conversation with her. So I was like, hey, don't call me no more.
Girl, my mama, we were even allowed for a long time to even have a house phone. Girl, I just sneak down the road at the pay phone just so I could sneak and talk on the phone. But even then, 25 cents only carried you up to a certain amount of time.
Right. So I mean, it was very different for us. A lot of kids, cause you don't remember the kids being on the milk cartons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did it. They just advertised it differently. The missing kids was on the milk cartons.
And on like Walmart billboards and stuff.
We didn't have
Y'all didn't have
Walmart.
that then?
No.
Mm.
When Walmart started in Hammond is where was the Albertsons at. And
Right.
they only sold certain things in that Walmart.
Yeah, they ain't had no
Mhm.
bulletin boards and all of that stuff.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Mm. And then
So it
I
just we didn't
believe,
have all of that technology where they printing out these special receipts and stuff on the back of the receipt. We didn't have all of that. So we didn't know. That's how a lot of people are traumatized now because they're saying, "Oh, when I was growing up, this was happening." What you mean this was happening? Like we ain't know,
We didn't know.
we ain't know,
We didn't know.
we didn't know.
I believe parents then also had like a stronger village. Like now, everybody outside. The grandma outside, the cousins
The great
outside,
grandma said,
everybody outside. So it's like, okay, I gotta go to work. Let me just give me some tablets. Let me and they next thing you know, you got your 3-year old who done found out how to unlock the door when they outside and somebody done took them.
"Yeah,
So it's like it's structured different now.
they got a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube video for everything. How to
Mm.
ride a bus, how to build a bomb, everything. I mean, ain't nothing on YouTube that you can't find. So
Mm-mm.
I mean, either they gonna go the right way or they gonna go the wrong way. Oh, I mean, it has a lot to do with their influence.
And also, I feel like parents need to start like sacrificing, like especially like my generation. We don't really sacrifice. Well, I'm not gonna say my friend group, and then like, could we sacrifice? But like a lot of people in my generation who are parents now, they don't really sacrifice anything for their kids. It's all about the money, and like they'll just dress their kids up to make it seem like they actually like their kids, but they don't. And then they end up growing up to be these YNs, and because a lot of like my generation, we got pregnant, not me, but they got pregnant at a young age. So those are the YNs now.
But that's
Mm.
what I was saying. That's them
You-
kids. You can't
and
So
talk to them. What, ma'am? Pow. What?
okay.
They ready to get
so like
some.
there was no real sacrifice. Like, oh, you know what? I did make this child. Let me figure out how to raise it.
Mhm.
Let me
And
figure
you
out what
know,
needs to be done. Let me take
right.
some psychology classes so I can understand how to actually make their mind
Mhm.
connect when something's going on.
And you know too, back then too, we was willing to let the father step in to teach the young men how to be men, how to go out there and cut that grass, how to the young ladies inside the house know how to wash a dish, or
Mm.
know how to clean up. Put them by the stove and let them learn how to cook. You know, no, the men's were able to be men's. Now these days or whatever, the mothers are stepping in the men's way to teach them how to be men, or some of the men is just not even in the picture to be exact. Some of them, I mean, they just forget that they have kids. But
Mm.
and what made me say that, the young man who was killed in Louisiana at the barber, close to the barber shop. Y'all remember that? It had a young man that was killed outside the barber shop or whatever. So Hammond got together to do a All King's Men. I think it's what it's called, All King's Men. A meeting because they want to do something for the men in the community, the little boys in the community. So they wanted the men to step up. But the women came in and took over the meeting. So they had that one meeting and never had another one because they really wasn't. It wasn't for the women. It was really for the men to come in and step up and know and help the mother who that don't have the man inside the house or who father is
It
absent in the
was
household.
women who put the meeting together in the first place.
Really, because I was told
Yes.
it was men.
No.
uh
I don't know, Momo. I think that when it comes to that, I understand the whole, when you're a single mom, you do have to take both roles. And sometimes your
mhm,
sons, they do need a father figure and they need that role. But I think that it shouldn't be that, you need a man to have to raise your kids to tell them they need to go outside and do this. I don't think that should be the case at all. I think whether you're the father or you're the mother in that place, both of your kids should be able to know how to do each thing. They should be able to know how to live on their own, basically. So yes, your son also needs to learn how to cook, how to clean, how to do dishes, how to know fold his laundry. Same way as your daughter, she should know her way outside too. While some kids, you're
mhm.
gonna find those boys who know they just want to be outside. Some girls, they do just want to be inside. But I think that both kids, they should be able to survive for themselves. They shouldn't need to have a man be there, have a woman be there to do things around the house. That shouldn't be the case. but there should also be a father figure in the home, not just to
Mhm.
raise the men, but you should also be there for your daughter. Sometimes you don't want to tell your mom things. You might want to be there. You want your dad to be there for you instead, and you can't have that all the time if you only have just one mom or one dad. It shouldn't just be about he needs to go outside and cut the grass. It should be the emotional things too. They need to understand it all.
You know, true story. And he might kill me, but who cares? But I'm true story. So me and my brother, I ain't gonna say which one, we had a conversation. And he said he grew up thinking that all men was trash and that he wanted to be better than the father that was in his life. And the only reason why that he grew up thinking that is because of what, Lord, she might kill me, our mother had played it in and made it seem like that what it was about. So he looked at other men as father figures because he thinking that, okay, I don't want to be like my father because all men are trash. And so that up to a certain extent. So I'm gonna go to a Christian man and bed myself in church so I won't become like the man that's on the street, or like my father, or like the man that my mother in my planted in my head. So it took him years and years down the line to realize that it wasn't the man that my mother has spoken of, but it was the women's choice, her choice of men.
I get that, but I can say for me personally, some people might not agree, but I do. I don't like men. I don't like them at all. And it's not just to say what I've been around. It's to say that it's a lot of reasons for that. I understand women also have their issues. It's not to say that just because I'm a woman, I'm defending every other woman. That's not the case. It's that you're gonna find good men, good women, bad women. But I will say that majority of men that I know, that I've seen, that I've heard about, they all have really bad attributes that I would never want in my life. I would never want to be around that. To where I can say that if I found a man off the street right now, I can tell you it's going to be something really off about him that would just throw me all the way off. They can sit there and, be really nice and have all these good things about them, but it'll be that one thing that every man does that just throws you completely off to where it's like you're not as good as what you think you are. And especially in this generation, they really think that they're the prize. And it's like, why do you think you're the prize instead of me? I'm confused. That's not the case at all.
So my question is to you: what? Okay, you just gave us. You just said that you don't care for men,
I don't really like them at all.
and my question to you is that I want. I mean, no, it's not a question. I want you to know that all men are not the same.
And I know they're not all the same, but I can say that there are so many different ones, and they all have a lot of them, they can be really positive, and I know that there are good ones out there, but I
Hmm.
will say that it's like every year it's more and more negative ones popping up because they all influence each other. Then
Right.
they tell each other their negatives and they try to make it seem as a positive. So it's like now y'all all just look real goofy to me. Like you're sitting here telling your homeboy that it's okay to do this and to disrespect women and play his role as this
Okay.
when it's not okay. So now he's saying that. Do you have kids? And you tell your kids that now your sons grow up that way, and it continues to grow and grow and grow to where it's like, okay, well now y'all got it. Like I don't want nothing to do with you.
And then see, and this is where the generation things that it have to start somewhere to break the curse of what, because we as women, some of us women, we are toxic because of what's been prayed over our life from ancestors from generation and generation back. That's why they were like, that's why they talk about generational curse, generational habits or whatever. So it's up to that mother who or that father who's raising that son to break that generation.
Yeah.
of curse that spoke over their life. But see, what I have learned is that we like to follow trends. And the trend could be that go out there and cuss that woman out. And men and women, some of us like to follow trends. Some of us like to go out there to get cool points, to beat the fit in into that equation. We'll go out there and we'll do it. Just like for a woman, if a woman go out there in the middle of the street and she jig or she twerk or she what or whatever, and everybody got their eyes on that woman, the next woman gonna see it and she gonna go in there and get her a little bit of that. Even when it comes down to ministry, you could go out there and you could preach a good word, and you got somebody sitting on the sideline that's getting ready to get up next and be like, okay, I got to get part of this trend. When it's really not, the trends come in at that I can do better than you. I can do this better than you, or I want to fit into this certain group, this certain lifestyle, this certain this. We could go on and on like how this come about, but it's all about again at this person or this man or this young boy have to realize that they are the leader. They're a leader. They don't need to be influenced by anybody. It seems a female. We all have to know that we're the treasure, we're the boss. We don't have to follow behind the trends just to get attention, just to fit in. Because a lot of us like to fit into things.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think about and there's nothing I don't I'm not going to say. I remember, no, I'm gonna say it. Remember when somebody had told me this story, and I'm gonna go back to the Louisiana thing or whatever. And they said that somebody went on social media and said, "Get you one of those," right? And to get you one of those was to get you a stud, get you a this, get you another, no, and it went down like domino effects.
Well, I mean, even with that, Momo, that more so, I can see how you're saying that's a trend, but it's another thing. It's like, how can you say, you know, okay, for example, nowadays they might, you might post your boyfriend, post your girlfriend, all this
Mhm.
good stuff, and you're saying get you one of them. Now it really just depends on the person, because if you're really just going out there to go find somebody to take these pictures with, just to get with them, not because you like them, but just because you want to use them, that's one thing. But if I'm already, if I already like the girl, if I already like the boy, and I get with them and I post it, who's to say it's a trend? I'm
Mhm.
just doing it because that's what I want to do. Because now I'm gonna show y'all, you got you and I got me one. It doesn't always have to be a competition. Sometimes it can just be one of those things to where it's a community thing more. So it doesn't always have to be I'm competing with you to be better than this, or I'm competing with you to show you that I have something that you don't have. It's just a
Mhm.
show that we all have something.
Right. I kind of can you hear me? Or is it
Yeah,
like okay? Because it's different on the screen, but
I
Yeah.
know
um,
what happened to. Okay.
I get where y'all are coming from. I'm really like an observer. So like when I go places, I kind of like listen and I watch and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And my partner, he goes like every Saturday. There's like basketball tournaments, and it's like all different kind of men, and you can like hear different personalities and kind of see how they think. And I feel like a lot of the reasons why we feel as though like certain things are what they are, or certain groups of people are the way that they are, is because it's not the negative is televised or pushed out, through the trends, through
Mhm.
all like the, different outlets that we do have. But when you're actually like in the community and you can actually like see what's going on, I've been exposed to like gym filled with like men that are um above what we're exposed to on social media. And you can see how they're able to like plan and execute things and de-escalate each other and comfort each other and speak highly of women and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
they're not televised, so you don't even think that their brain can even do that. or you'll like see where there's something organized in the community by women who maybe didn't take into consideration what a man would actually want to come to. Men don't want to go to like a brunch where there's mimosas and chicken and waffles. They want to eat hot dogs and nachos and watch sports. Like maybe have it at the sports bar or something. Like we don't, as women, we like, oh, let them come to our standard, but we don't let them be men. And I think a lot of the times that's what kind of divides us, not accepting men for who they are and wanting them to be what we want them to be. And it's like it throws that balance out. So now I'm coming into this relationship and I'm wanting you to be this, or we're coming into this partnership and I want you to be this. So yeah, whenever you do something, it's going to throw me off, or it's going to make me look at men a certain way because it's not what I expect, or it's not following the trend, or it's not doing these things. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that all men are bad. I just would say that maybe we should kind of like look at it on a spectrum of like, okay, he's a
Mhm.
man. He's not a
I
woman.
I
He,
get the whole, let a man be a man thing, but for me personally, like it's just a personal preference. I don't like the whole, let him be manly, let him, get into his element, I guess you can say, because I think there are multiple ways you can say that you're a man and not be what they say you should. Like, you don't have to be into the sports and all that. You can have a feminine energy and still be a man. That's how I see it as. I feel like personally, I don't like the men who are all they want to be, I guess they want to be men. I don't like that whole thing. I like to see that you can say that you're a man, but you can feel comfortable enough to where you can have this feminine energy, I guess, about you. You can, fit in.
Mhm.
You can do all these things that other men might say, they might say it's gay or this and that. When in reality, it's never that. It's just simple fact that society has made it seem like men have to be a certain way for them to be perceived as men when it shouldn't be that way. You should have to say that, I play football and this and that. So I'm a man versus, I might do gymnastics or I might do cheer, but I'm also still a man at the end of the day. I feel like that's a connotation that specifically in the black community, I think is very prominent. Like they force,
yes,
young boys and young men to act a certain way to where when you're out in the real world with, other women and other men, you experience all these different things, you're either, the outcast of it all or you're seen as just a bit off-putting because why do you think that you have to do certain things to be seen as a man? If
hmm,
you know yourself that I'm a straight man or I'm this type of man or if you're comfortable enough within yourself, it really shouldn't matter what the next person says about you. Like it's just about allowing young boys to feel comfortable enough to where they don't feel as if they have to go out and force themselves to look as a man or be a man, I guess.
right. And that's what I was really meaning. Just like let that man be a man. Like, and eventually you'll figure if that is something that you want to be around instead of trying to, make them fit into a box. And that's not like you just said, that's what our community does. We try to make a man fit into a box before we even know who that man is.
Oh yeah. I can truly say, Kyra, congratulations. This was a good show. We could pick up part two, but we're
Okay.
running out of time. And let this be a part two because this was a good topic.
Yes, sir.
This is definitely a good topic.
Mhm.
And do you have a closing that you would like to say?
Not really, but what I would say is that to be black is to be something very great and it holds a lot of honor and power. And I think that when you're born black, you should always be fully sure of yourself. You shouldn't doubt yourself and you shouldn't want to be another race or be someone else just because they put that box on you. You don't have to be the stereotypical black girl or black man or black guy. You don't have to be any of that. You can be yourself and be black at the same time. That's really all it is to it. But that's it.
All righty. Okay. Now look, I'm picking a train.
All right.
Well, I thank y'all so much for joining us today on Blooming from Broken. We do
Mhm.
have a phenomenal YouTube channel that we would like you to go follow. Like this video, subscribe so that you can see us when we are live and in action. Also, follow us on Facebook. Thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.